What if I told you one of the most important Mustangs Ford ever built wasn't a Mustang at all? In fact, it came almost a full year before the Mustang debuted, and without it, automotive history might have looked very different. Welcome to Gassed at the Fuel House, where we talk cars until we're out of breath or gassed up for the next ride. Whether it's a classic cruiser to modern exotics, trucks, and even things on two wheels, today's episode of Gassed, we're featuring one of our members' cars, so let's get into it. Today we're taking a look at this beautiful Rangoon Red 1963 and a half Ford Falcon Sprint Convertible. Because before there was a Mustang, there was the Falcon Sprint. Ford introduced the Falcon in 1960 when Americans were starting to embrace smaller, more economical cars. Imports like the Volkswagen Beetle and the Fiat 600 were becoming surprisingly popular. And Ford's answer was the Falcon. It gave buyers the economy that they wanted while keeping the comfort and style of an American car. And for its first few years, the Falcon was exactly what Ford intended it to be: affordable, comfortable, and practical. But by 1963, something had changed. Americans still wanted smaller cars. They just wanted them to be more fun. And the Sprint was Ford's answer. And that completely changed the Falcon's personality. Let's start with what immediately catches your eye. This gorgeous Rangoon Red paint. It's one of Ford's signature colors of the 1960s. It appeared on cars like the Galaxy, the Fairlane, and the Mustang. Combined with the white convertible top and all this bright chrome trim, it's about as classic as 1960s Ford styling gets. Cars of that era were going for deeper body sculpting and much heavier chrome and dramatic styling. The Falcon remained clean and balanced. No unnecessary flash, no exaggerated styling, just clean proportions. Long hood, short rear deck, thin roof pillars, and just enough chrome to accent the design without overwhelming. And honestly, I think it's aged pretty well. Now you might be wondering, why do some enthusiasts call these a 1963 and a half? Interestingly, Ford never officially used that name. The nickname came from enthusiasts because the Sprint package arrived midway through the 1963 production year. Manufacturers occasionally made running changes during a model year. They might introduce a new option package, fix production issues, or make small styling updates. But introducing an entirely new performance model halfway through the year with a V8, upgraded suspension, bucket seats, a tachometer, and unique trim was unusual enough that collectors started calling this the 1963 and a half Falcon. And that name has stuck for over 60 years. Now let's see what really made the Sprint different. Under the hood sits Ford's new 260 cubic inch Windsor V8. Today, 164 horsepower doesn't sound particularly impressive. But remember, this car only weighs around 2,700 pounds. That's hundreds of pounds lighter than many modern performance cars. So while it's not going to outrun today's Mustang GT back in 1963, this Falcon felt genuinely quick. And Ford didn't just stop with the engine either. The Sprint also received chrome valve covers, a chrome air cleaner, a heavy-duty suspension, 5 lug wheels, larger brakes, and all of this made it feel like much more than just an economy car. Now, this is where Falcon becomes historically important. When the Ford engineers started development of the Mustang, they started with the Falcon Sprint platform. The first Mustang borrowed heavily from the Falcon. Suspension, steering, drivetrain, floor structure. Many of the mechanical pieces of the Mustang trace their roots directly back to this car. And even more importantly, the Sprint proved something that Ford hoped was true, that Americans wanted a compact car with V8 performance. And less than a year later, the Mustang arrived. Let's look inside. One of the first things you notice is just how open everything feels. It's got thin pillars, it's got large windows, simple gauges, nothing blocks your view. Everything has a purpose. There's no touch screens, no menus, no drive modes. One of my favorite features is the tachometer, mounted right on top of the dashboard. Today, it almost looks like something the owner would have added aftermarket, but it came from the factory. And in 1963, having it predominantly displayed like that was Ford's way of saying, this was not your average Falcon. It's cars like this that remind you that driving used to be a much more involved experience. There's no traction control. There's no computers making decisions for you. There's no power steering. It's just you and the car. You're hearing the V8. One of the reasons these cars are so desirable is because, honestly, there just weren't that many built, especially when you consider that in 1964 and a half, there were over 121,000 Mustangs produced. And in 1965, 559,000. Now let's compare that to the Sprint hardtops, just over 10,000. The Sprint convertible, only about 4,600. So let's think about that. After more than 60 years, how many of those do you think are still on the road? And that could be one of the reasons why these cars attract so much attention at car shows. Everyone's seen a Mustang, but far fewer have ever seen a 1963 and a half Ford Falcon Sprint Convertible. So that's going to do it for today's member car showcase here at the Fuel House. As you can see, our gas gauge is on E for exit. So that's what we're going to do with this episode. If you'd like to have your car featured here on Gas at the Fuel House, reach out to me. There should be a link below. You can either email me or through social media. And I'd love to get your car in here to feature it just like this one. So thanks for watching today's episode, and we will see you in the next one.